Hello and welcome back to Still We Persist. My name is Sienna, Kaske. I use she and her pronouns, and I am the Iowa Women of Color Initiative Leadership Liaison.
Hi, I'm Meghan. I use she, her, hers pronouns, and I am the Aya peer facilitator.
Woo-hoo. As you can see, we are not in the studio, which feels so weird, but we're still trying to keep everything the same a little bit. And so all three of us are technically in different locations, so we're still going to acknowledge the land that we're on, just in a little bit different ways. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will, some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hope of a better life, and some have lived on this land for more generations than can be counted. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. We begin this effort to acknowledge what has been buried by honoring the truth. What we now call Corvallis, Oregon, is located within the traditional homelands of the Marys River or Wampanoag Band of Calabria. And what we now call Portland, Oregon, is located within the traditional homelands of the Chinook people. The living descendants of these people are a part of the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde Community of Oregon and the Confederated Tribes of the Siletz Indians. And on today's episode, we have the amazing Carla Medel, who is like one of my favorite people on this entire planet. Carla and I go back to freshman year. That's when we first met each other in ES. It was ethnic studies. It was Latino and contemporary culture class, right? So that's where we met. I'm just like going into your little bio, you know, I know you. So Carla is a third year undergraduate student at OSU who studies, it's psychology with a minor in Spanish and HDFS.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, look at me, I'm a good friend. And she is the current president of Here to Stay. She's from Hermiston, Oregon, is really close with her family. And just an overall amazing human being. I think Carla's energy and Carla's leadership style is very like it's like family oriented, and just she just has so much love and care for the work that she's doing. And Here to Stay is a student immigrant rights group on campus at Oregon State, and so I think the way that Carla shows up as a president and like in that leadership role is so caring for a movement. And I just really love that I get to work with you and organize with you. And, you know, you're like one of my OG comrades, like straight up. So it's pretty cool that I get to interact with you through this format.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just like, you can say anything more about yourself or anything else you want to share.
I don't know. Yeah, I think coming onto campus freshman year was really like when I was like, okay, this is like things that I want to do. And especially in that ethnic studies class, like learning more about Latinx issues here in the US, especially with immigration, and then meeting Priscilla and Juan and you and Jasmine and all the OGs of Here to Stay, like it really made a difference. And I'm happy to be doing what I'm doing now on campus.
That's awesome. So we're just gonna go in and like ask you some questions and like hear more from your brilliancy.
Cool.
Very excited. I have a question for you. It's the first one. So what is a moment, or describe a moment in time during your work here at OSU that you realized that you really had an impact on your communities and people around you just through what you do?
That's a good question.
I think when Here to Stay did the canvassing for no on Measure 105, I think just about everyone that did that canvassing was like new to it. We didn't really know what we were doing. We're like, let me go knock on people's doors. That's kind of weird. But like doing that, sticking to it, and even doing it, even though like you might have been a little anxious to, but when the votes came in and it all went in our favor, I was like, wow, because I might or might not have had like a big difference, but still like the little things that we were able to do, it was super exciting to see the outcomes of it.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, No One Measure 105 campaign was a campaign against a racial profiling law that tried to get passed in the 2018 midterm elections. So, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely remember all of the work that y'all did. So it was really cool to see too.
Yeah, it definitely is like, I just remember that we just kind of, okay, well, no one is canvassing in Corvallis. Why isn't anyone canvassing in Corvallis? And a few of our, like oh God, I miss them, like Tabitha and Priscilla and Juan, like all use their connections with Causa and like other organizations that now we have ties to really get the information out in Corvallis, which was so important. Yeah. Do you remember why they weren't coming to Corvallis at all?
I'm not sure. I just remember like we jumped into it right fall term. I think we had like one general meeting, and after that we were like, okay, the rest of fall term we're just going to be canvassing. So it was like super fast. I think that they might have been having like conversations with other people before we actually came back to campus, which is why to us it was kind of like, okay, we're doing it. But I think they definitely did some more work to start it up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. I think like when you're doing work with migrant issues, like there's this constant sense of urgency. And I know that both of you know what I'm talking about. And so maybe can both of you kind of talk about that sense of urgency specifically with like migrant movement work and like why you think that it's important and like how you work with that?
I think there's so many different issues relating to immigration work because there's so many different statuses from people from all over the world. And so what some folks from Latin America might be going through with their statuses could be different from what folks from Africa are going through or for folks from the Middle East. And so we're all like trying to figure out how to make your own status better, and then they're like always changing. The laws are always changing, the rules are always changing for everyone. So it's just constantly different.
Right.
Yeah.
What about you, Megan? Like this sense
Yeah.
of urgency?
Yeah, I feel like there is a sense of urgency because there's constantly people like immigrating and showing up and like being a part of this community. And like it's so important to make sure that they can be here because I think that there's a part of like immigration that people are always afraid, I think too, especially like undocumented immigrants, like you're here, but like at any point, like you could be deported. Like that's really scary, and that definitely is a cause for urgency. And especially now with these COVID-19 fears on top of that, I think it makes it even more urgent because I've definitely seen that there have been ICE raids right now in the middle of this pandemic because they knew that students would be home since they're not going to school, and they're showing up to these families. And I think that just causes even more urgency, but it's scary. Like these type of things are like terrifying. So yeah, I feel like that's kind of the root of it.
Yeah. That like gave me chills. Like it hit me. Like this is scary, and sometimes it's hard to be doing this work. And I know Carla, like you have different ties to it too, and so like how do you heal from working with that sense of urgency and constantly feeling that?
I think just having hope that things will be better one day. It's hard, yeah, because you're trying to better things for your community, and for me, like for my parents and for my family. And so sometimes it's hard because you see like a whole bunch of the negative sides to it doing the work, and so it's just like, oh shoot, like I don't know. But I think it's just like believing that one day things will be better, and like knowing that your community isn't doing anything wrong and they're doing everything just to live a normal life like everyone else wants to. So I don't know, just believing, having faith that things will turn out okay, which I know can be hard, but I think that's really like all we can do.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. I think it is so important.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's so important to just like have hope, and like that's I think what keeps everyone going. I think just like knowing that like someday it will be better, and like it will be better because you worked so hard to get there. I think that is so important.
And I think especially like with the work with Aya and Here to Stay, it's it can be very different in different cases because I think that's just the way of like cultural organizing. So it has to take different shape at different times. So I want to like pick both y'all's brains for a little bit. Like, what do you think in movement work that you need to center for it to be successful? Like, what do you think are like, isn't a really important thing of core movement work?
Well,
I know, a big question.
Deep thought.
Sorry, I've been thinking about that. And
Yeah.
like, I work with both of you in two different, like activist, justice, I don't know what, there's so many buzzwords that, I don't, we work in those spaces. And so it's a question that's been on my mind.
I think if we're here to stay, we first started out with wanting to help the students on campus. And so it's like trying to figure out what those students need. So at first it was like, okay, they need a center, the Dreaming Beyond Border Center now, right? They need a center because all the resources are scattered all across campus and they don't need to be doing all this extra work to go across campus and figure out what they need. So they have this one center.
Mm-hmm.
And so like now with the coronavirus, with graduation, knowing that these students put in a lot of work and are proud of what they're doing. So providing like cap and gown decorating kits so that they can decorate caps and still be like proud of what they did. Like just centering the needs of the community, figuring out what they need at different moments in time, I think is what to me is the center of Here to Stay, especially with the on-campus students. That's how kind of we started.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what I love about that, Carla, is how you talked about like this need for balancing meeting the needs of like your basic necessities, but also needing like your emotional needs, like the cap and gown thing that we're going to be doing, and like sending out kits for folks that are graduating. Like that is meeting an emotional need that is so simple, but like you're still caring for that and still like as an initiative and as an organization, like making us center that as a need. So I appreciate you having that balance. And I really love that. So thank you for sharing. What about you, Megan?
Yeah, I think like with this kind of work, I think centering your community, the target community that you're working for, and then also yourself at the same time is so important. I know Carla talked about how difficult it can be and how important it is to like have hope for the future. And I think that in part is also like recognizing how difficult doing this work is and then centering yourself and making sure that you're still taking care of yourself and taking care of those emotional needs to be able to do the best for your community and like build that community. I feel like if you're not taking care of yourself, you're really not going to be able to take care of the community as well. And you're not going to be there for the people as well as you can be. And I think in part, taking care of yourself is also taking care of the community and centering that community as well. So that's kind of my thought on it.
I love that too. And so I think like I have a question off of that. Like, we all come from cultures where like family is very important, or like that is the center. So it's, and I think as women of color especially, we're supposed to help more, like help the others, like other people first. And so like it's hard unlearning that, like what you said, Megan. And
yeah,
like, so what do you think about that? Like how do you get past that?
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, I've had a long journey with sort of taking care of myself first, I think, because a lot of times my like instinct is to take care of other people and like be there for other people all of the time. And so I have had to like recognize when I'm feeling sort of drained, and like when I do feel drained, like taking the initiative to say, okay, I'm going to step back, recharge, and come back, because I need to do that sometimes. And it's hard to learn that. And it's hard to be able to say like, I'm going to step back, because stepping back is difficult. Stepping back when you feel like there is a need for you to be there is so hard, but it's something that you just have to learn to do. And like, it can be in small steps. Like you can step back from a conversation between friends just to like take care of yourself for a hot second. Like that's fine. That's a small moment that you can do that. And then you can step back from like planning big events for a hot second too. Like it's like a thing that you kind of just learn how to do as you go. And that's just kind of been my way of taking care of myself, is just learning to recharge every once in a while so that I'm not just draining myself out, and also learning to recognize sort of when I start draining and like when, my brain is starting to tick off, because sometimes it can be hard to recognize that too. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Oh, y'all have some great insight. So thank you for just blessing everyone with your words. I love it. I love it. It's something that you both talked about, was community, which was not ironic. Like I felt like that might have happened, but I think in the context of like Aya and Here to Stay, like I'm so grateful for that community because everything that both of you described, I've learned from Here to Stay and Aya. And so it was really cool for me to like reflect on my own experiences as both of you were describing these core needs for like needed movement work. Yeah, so thank you so much. Megan, did you have another question?
I do have a few. Like we can
Go
throw them
ahead.
out there. Let's go. So kind of talk about Here to Stay, but like what do you think or hope to see Here to Stay do, and like where do you see it going in the next few 10 years, however many years? Like where do you want to see it go?
A big thing that we've been trying to get going is having kind of scholarships, so like funds where people would be able to apply and get those funds for them to apply for residency, take their citizenship test, DACA renewals, TPS, any sort of that stuff, because I know that for students on campus, they're already paying for tuition, their fees, their books, their housing, and then having like something on top of it, like a DACA renewal, is a lot. So that's something that we've been trying to get going, and I'm hoping that in this next year it will be good to go and set. So that's kind of more coming up. I also, my big goal since we started talking about the Dream Beyond Borders Center was having it be its own center, like every other cultural resource center. Right now it's really small and there's only a few people that work within it, and it's hard to get things going to the full extent that you want it when it's such a small place and there's only a few people working there. They can't, be working there day and night to get it going the way that we hope to have it going. So one day I hope to have a standalone center. I hope to also expand to community colleges and high schools. I know when I talked to my dad, where I'm from, a lot of the population, it's like half white, half Latino. And so a lot of the Latino population is undocumented or has like some sort of temporary status. And so my dad's like, oh, this guy from my work told me about his daughter, that she's struggling with this and that. Like, why doesn't Here to Stay reach out to high schools? And I'm like, well, we're not there yet. And so like one day I hope to be able to do that, community colleges and high schools, because I know that there is a lot of good counselors out there and things that want to help these students, but I don't think it's enough. So like just having these students know that they do have the opportunity to further that education when they think that it might not be possible for them.
So you touched on so many things, and I kind of want to even back it up to talking about Dreaming Beyond Borders, and like talk about the creation of that space, because that was a historical moment for Oregon State, and like I don't want to bypass that, and because I remember being in those meetings of us just trying to figure out what the center was going to be, how like we were essentially wrote this entire proposal asking for the school a certain amount of money, and Carla went big. Like y'all don't know what it was like in those meetings, but like Carla put so much love into those meetings and was really down for like, okay, we're gonna get $1 million for this. and so like I want you to kind of talk about like your dreams in that scenario, and like how you're still persevering even though you didn't get what you wanted.
How did we even start? I don't know. I just remember like the meetings. I think there was like 7 or 8 of us that would meet like every week on top of our general Here to Stay meetings, and worked on this idea of what the center would even look like. We looked a lot at the center at Portland Community College, Rock Creek campus, and then we also looked at some in California, mostly.
UC Davis, I think.
Yeah, and so we were trying to look at those and figure out how that would look like on our campus and what would need to be changed so it better fit our community on campus. And so I just remember we were like talking about the mission statement, gathering personal statements from different students, writing a list of supplies that would be needed, people that we would like to have in the center to work. So like we had like a GTA academic counselor, some type of immigration lawyer, like a whole bunch of different things. And I was really, really into it. I wanted it to be like big, standalone thing where all of these students could just go there and feel safe, protected, like they had all the resources they needed, because I know that they don't feel like that everywhere they go. So yeah, it was a crazy time. It ended up being what, like 17-page, 16-page proposal.
Yeah, it was long.
Wow.
it was funny too, because none of us had ever like even worked with that amount of money before, except for Juan, who had he was taking an accounting class or something, just conveniently at that time of the term. And we were literally just like, okay, well, what do the students want? Going to the community's needs. And so like it was a big process, but I remember there were times where there were some people being like realistic. They're like, they're not going to give us this amount of money. When we say they, we mean like the Office of Fiscal, I don't know, Office of Financial Planning, Student Affairs, one of those offices.
Yeah.
And Carla, like, I remember there was one meeting where Carla you got up and you were like, no, we're going to be asking for this more money so we can get more money. And I just remember like watching Carla in that moment, and I was like, oh shit, she's business. And we were freshmen.
Yeah,
like, we were freshmen. 18, 19-year-olds, working with $1 million or trying to figure out what the undocumented community needed with $1 million. Like that was our imagination. And it was fueled by, like this passion and for like human rights. And it was a collective passion that kept driving us to go to those 3-hour meetings on top of more meetings, on top of the Border Patrol meetings. And like, when I think about those times, like in our baby organizing days, it brings me a lot of joy, and it still brings me hope, because I know that there will be, even after we graduate, that there will be another set of passionate students, passionate women of color that are going to continue this work and continue making more change than we ever could. But and like we're working off of the backs of the women of color that created this space even. And so I love reflecting with both of you, and I'm just so happy I get to share space and get to organize with both of you. So I'm feeling really joyful. We do this one thing in our Woke Wednesday newsletters where we always finish our interviews with a question, asking our interviewee, like, do you have any lasting words you want to share with the AYA community? So that's you, Carla. Any lasting words?
I don't know. Keep pushing forward. Women of color, immigrant women, all of these minority communities have gotten so far with the work of the people that came before us, like how you were saying. And there's so many passionate people now that are still trying to move forward and better our communities and give them everything they truly deserve. So keep moving forward, make our community, our society a better place for the people that are to come. And I think hopefully in the future things will be on our side. We deserve it.
We do. Oh my gosh, Carla, thank you so much for being on Still We Persist.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna end this recording. We'll figure out how it works. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in. We'll be back next week. Bye.